for joining us here today at this great event sponsored by the Flagstaff Indigenous Commission on Indigenous Affairs. And we are here gathered to honor all Indigenous code talkers and honoring all Indigenous code talkers here throughout the world. So thank you for joining us here. I am very proud to see all of you people here and very grateful, and seeing officers of different different officers other than like military, but they can be military. So I'm thanking you for all joining us here today. We've got a good program here with many people that we will be bringing on. And first of all, we would like to start off with, if the honor guard could please post the colors, and if we could stand for the posting of colors. Thank you.
Honor guard, what? Port, carry, color. Have a half step forward, march. Ready, halt. Left, face. Post colors. Port, arms. Left, face. And a half step forward, march.
The posting of colors were by the Marine Corps League of the San Francisco Peach Detachment 912 Color Guard.
Right, face. Order, arms. Bob.
Thank you very much. We will be followed by opening prayer by Mr. Tenakhongva, who is the U.S. Army veteran E6 Staff Sergeant. Will be followed by also a song dedication. Mr. Tenakhongva is a renowned Hopi singer, singing traditional songs, and has made many songs for traditional use that are used throughout the villages. He is from the great village of Hopi. Let's welcome Mr. Clark Tenakhongva.
Good morning, everybody. You may be seated. I know there's a lot of us that are getting up there that can't stand more than 2 minutes, so I don't want the ambulance coming in and having to, make a scene here, although we have the officers here. But good morning to everybody. First of all, thank you to Moana and Rose for inviting me out to this event today. Just a little bit on what I know about the Hopi code talkers, and that will be more talked about a little later on by Mr. Talas later on. Mr. Eugene Talas is also a veteran with the United States Air Force, retired. But for my military brief, stint in there, I did 10 years. Decided to come home because I finally realized at that point, I guess I must have matured a little bit. military changes you a lot. And at that point, I realized that the military is not a Hopi part of our lives, that why am I here doing battle for somebody else when it's not the Hopi that did the, maybe, the conflicts anywhere worldwide. So I came home, and since that time, I've been involved in a lot of the, more or less the community side aspect of life. I got engaged into a number of organizations like school boards, village administrations, and finally, in the end, I decided to go back to work because I got fed up with the way society was. I had a whole number of jobs, just like you men and women here in uniform. I was once a police officer also. But when you're arresting your own people, your own family, it's very hard. It's a difficult situation because Hopi is a small community. We know each other very well. And when you arrest a father or a brother or a sister, well, you've got arrested just another 30 more people that you're going to have to deal with in the public later on. And it was something that I thought I left in the military not being home. And I saw the same thing. I started a family, and I needed to be a family man. So that's when I left and started doing another job. But all in all, I did various jobs out there until later on I decided to go back to my art. I'm an artist also. I was just doing that, and then yesterday we celebrated the 25th anniversary of our local radio station, KUYI. Jennifer and I were volunteer DJs there. And I used to do a program in the morning called Talawepi. Spoke my language and did the programming there for approximately 6 to 8 years, all volunteer, because I loved that kind of work. It was there that another lady went and found that the abilities, I guess what I did in counseling, she summoned me to work for the Department of Veterans Affairs. So I worked another 17 years with the Department of Veterans Outreach, Federal Service. 2016, I retired after 29 years working with Federal Service. So I've been retired almost 10 years now, but in between there, I did some more community service. I served 4 years as the vice chairman for the tribe. So some of these things, they carry with you once you leave the military. You're always going to be minded in that way to serve the people. It never leaves you. It never leaves you because that's part of what you do, are taught as a police officer or in the military. You're always told, you serve the people. You don't serve yourself. You belong to the people. That's what they teach you. So with that, you don't have to stand. You can pray in your own ways because we're honoring the code talkers. They have a long legacy. There were approximately 33 tribes of Native Americans that served both in World War I and II, and it became a real part of the asset of the military operations in the European campaign during World War I. They knew what it was, so they summoned more troops in, or more tribes during World War II. That's where the Hopi Code Talkers came in. We have 10 members of our tribe, 8 that served with the Wildcat Division, the other 2 with the Army Air Corps, who were, sitting in the, basically in the little turret in the back of the bombers, looking down and telling what to do, using our language. Now, remember this, folks. World War II was during a period where a lot of us were forbidden to speak our language. But yet, America got saved by a number of the languages that were used during 1 and 2. Today, I look at it in a different way. You may not agree with my opinion, but what's being broadcasted across this nation, one language only. But our language has been here way before today's America is here today, why we're gathered.
Constitution's in English.
But, I commend these people, and that is one reason why I sing songs, I compose songs in my language to carry on what the legacy of what our fathers, our uncles, and our people fought for this nation so that we would be free. And that's where I'm coming from, so I'm going to go ahead and give the prayer in our own language, and then I'll follow up with the song. I'll tell you a little bit about the song once I get done. Owi, wakwai, biwit tayep ansa, dalaw na yan. Yep itana, dawa, lolmat pichangwai ka. Owi yep itana, yep tamo yep jami ma, katay matak niya ka. Nakakabo kumay tamo yep tamo ka, sosa kumay sinmo, sosa kanhita yep akakampo, hinit tutakamo. Ni kaobyo, paniyan wat tuwa tamumi, tubing ka. Yang kaita kalawis, kahita habita, yepita hikoy ka yang ita kalawis, kahita habita chedek na, kachi habiput sa tukanyo, yep ita pahat kuy ita sosa nanaw, hita ita hikyan, yep kachi pawasi, yep kachi ita yep yesu. Ni ko bayan hakam na tiat okyo ane wat kumunupan ka. Hisne itayep sosya. Papa nanami salita sosya. Nanami yang yorikya. Kanana pit da kita hinkya. Kahaki tahaki pauhi da nukashi da hinkyang ita lolmat kache yesu. Wupat kache na ita yesu. Kahak hit dayap kasi at ibon, kahak yap kasi hit at nawala itayap itasin, ahakang sokyo at sino tiwat kasi nawag yun halay ka uli yeso yan hakang hintak itawi na hong pritote hisne ita lolmat kasi yoyang kapita Yoyhoyam ka. Yan ita, tuwan dyan yung ibig ng mga pasiyon na wakwai. Again, thank you. And before I start this song, it has a little history to it. As Johnny J, what we would call her, she's Jennifer by real name, Joseph, but we call her Johnny J. That was her DJ handle. So, her father, as she said, was deployed to both the Middle East, which I would say Japan, Korea, China, those areas when I was in the Navy, and then Army, of course, the Korean War. But while he was there in Japan, he heard this song, the one I want to sing. He didn't know the title of the song. He knew that the Japanese people were singing this song. And when he came back to Hopi, we were doing a social dance one time. I was still a little boy yet. And there's a process of how the songs are sung. And we needed what they call a going in song to the plaza. They couldn't come up with the song because what we were doing was the Hispanic Mexican hat dance, where we honor other nationalities or races too. So that's what we were doing. They couldn't come up with the song, so Jeffrey Joseph sang this song to them. It's not Hispanic, it's not Hopi, but it's Japanese, but nobody understood what we were singing. They enjoyed the song. Everybody just joined in with what we were singing. So that's how I learned this song when I was about maybe 6, 7 years old, when we were doing the Mexican hand dance. So it's called Ode to the Sailors, or to the Navy men, soldiers that served during that time. But a little bit on my musical side is that being a DJ, I got asked to record songs for what's called the record label Canyon Records down in Phoenix. I did 4 albums with them, and all 4 albums went to what they call the NAMI, Native American Music Awards. All of them are award winners. I've been awarded the Indigenous Music Artist of the Year twice. And the last album that I did with them, Yoyhoyam, I made it all the way to the Grammys out in LA. So that's a little history, but since that time, it's carried me throughout the entire globe. The last big trip I did was a year ago out to Dubai, riding camels and singing songs. But it was quite a experience when I went out to Dubai. But I've been down south, down in South America, north of here in Canada, into Japan and other countries, singing Hopi songs. So that's a little bit of me. That's Clark, and I hope you enjoy this song. And like I say, it's called Ode to the Sailors, or the Navy men. Was sung to us by, at that time he was a young man, he had Jeffrey Joseph, the father of Jennifer Joseph and her sister. I can never remember her name. But yeah, there's 2 daughters that he had. 3, I guess, yeah. Oh, yes, okay. Well, yeah. I'm getting old, so I'm starting to forget people. So goes something like this. Thank you.
Is Tenakhongva. Thank you very much, Clark. in the Hopi way, we are very much related. And you've heard Native Americans say, all my relations. At Hopi, we are all related in one way or another. And we are coming from clans. We are a matrilineal society, so we're born into these clans. And then the clans start getting married, having babies, and having all these kind of relationships, which then starts to mingle us together. So then our families get larger and larger. So in that way, Clark is also coming from the clan of my godparents. And so I call him Idana, my father, our father. And so again, we are all related at Hopi in one way or another. And if we really take a look at that way of our lives and how we're related to people, we are in all cultures very much related to each other. Whether you're neighbors, just longtime friends with no blood connection, that person becomes your brother, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, and it just, the relationships go on. So it's up to you to make that relationship wherever you may be with whichever race, culture that you may become associated with. So again, I like to thank Clark Tenakhongva, and he is, for his voice, an acclaimed singer, and also many of our Hopi young people who don't know the language, they say, I can understand what you're saying, but for some reason, it just cannot come out of their mouths. So through Clark's music, these young people are singing his songs and learning the words of the Hopi language through song, through Clark Tenakhongva, and many other singers on Hopi. But as I mentioned before, the villages have their own ceremonies, but I've heard Clark's songs sung by other singers and other dancers in other villages, which I'm sure gives him great pride. So I'd like to again thank Clark Tenakhongva. He will be here with us throughout the day, and will also be giving us our closing song later on today. I'd like to acknowledge Mrs. Tenakhongva out in the audience, if she could wave. She's been his right-hand support through all this musical career and Hopi career of being a farmer. 46 years, he says. So anybody who's starting out, hang on, because you're going to beat Clark Tenakhongva to the end. So with that, again, we'd like to give our thanks out to the Marine Corps of the San Francisco Peach Detachment 912 Color Guard for being here with us today. And then we've got a lot of people coming up. We've got council members, we've got the city mayor who will be joining us here, and as well as Geno Talas, who is from the Hopi Veterans Office, and also Darrin Talawepi, who is also a Hopi tribal member who recently is the new police officer in the city of Flagstaff. And I'd like to give acknowledgement to our officers here in the crowd, so we know we're all safe here today. And just a little bit of house rules, if we could keep our phones on silent. And this is our front main exit. In the back is our second exit. The bathrooms are in the back corner there and on both sides of the room. And we've got some refreshments, so take advantage. And again, we want to thank the Flagstaff Commission on Indigenous Affairs for hosting this, and the city of Flagstaff for putting this on. And we are very thankful. We will also be joined by the Yoyhoyam Hopi Youth Dance Group, sponsored by Mr. Jordan Mockta, again, a Hopi dance group. And then that brings us to the end of the day. So again, thank you for joining us here in beautiful Flagstaff below the magnificent San Francisco peaks, which we all revere. And giving our prayers this morning by Tenakhongva really brings home to us to heart. With all the fires that we've been experiencing, we see it with the smoke, we smell it, and ashes are falling in Page for 1 month straight, where you can literally see ashes on the ground from the fires up in the North Rim. And it's terrible. And we're all in a drought. This is, I guess, one of the worst years we've seen in a while this summer. We have had no monsoons that they speak of. And those are all in Clark's prayer this morning, because we rely on this water to survive. We all do, all the animals, all the plant life. And if we could come together and be in good heart as one people, with no one set aside, race, color, creed, disability, whatever it is that separates us today, if we can put that aside and start moving from here, maybe the cloud people will then come to bless us. They will see that they know we need them. They know we have not yet drunk. And we are all waiting, and we're keeping our prayers up. So again, thank you for joining us here, and thank you for the food that is here. Natives, you go somewhere, food is always the big part of it. You know, we're always got food. And come to Hopi, you will never starve over there. Everybody's got food, and when you're ready to leave, they'll pack you with food to go. So again, thank you for joining us. I'm Jennifer Joseph, and I am so happy to be here with you. And that song dedicated to my father. You know, my father, like many veterans from a bad time in his life, of 3 girls, 3 sisters, he never talked about the war. He never talked about the war. I didn't know about this song, who composed it. And as you heard, it has that Japanese little tune to it. And I wonder what the Japanese think of our little Hopi song today. And they would say it was a beautiful song. But my father, he did talk about the war. And as many probably don't talk about the war. And as girls, we never asked about the war until we started having sons. And our sons, did you really have a gun? What kind of a gun was it? Did you kill people? What did you feel like being in the war, you know? Was it cool? You know? No, none of that. And so it was a time and a part of my life that I didn't know a lot about until our son started asking questions of my father. And he was on 2 ships, the destroyers. He was a ship's cook on the destroyers. And during the battles, he would arm himself with a gun, like a machine gun of some sort. And he did get awarded the Silver Star and should have been the Purple Heart as well. And we remember our father who served our country very well. So with that, I like to, with that little history there, I like to give acknowledgement to Flagstaff City Councilwoman Lori Matthews, if she could come up and share with us a little bit about the land acquisition. Let's welcome Lori. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm Lori Matthews, Flagstaff City Council, and I'm also the liaison to the Indigenous Commission, from the Council to the Commission. It is my great honor to do the land acknowledgement today on the special day with the code talkers that we're honoring. The Flagstaff City Council humbly acknowledges the ancestral homelands of this area's Indigenous nations and original stewards. These lands, still inhabited by Native descendants, border mountains sacred to Indigenous peoples. We honor them their legacies, their traditions, and their continued contributions. We celebrate their past, present, and future generations who will forever know this place as home. Thank you.
Thank you to the City of Flagstaff for acknowledging this. Next up, we would like to call Flagstaff Mayor Becky Daggett, and she will be giving us the welcoming message and the Indigenous Code Talkers Proclamation. So let's welcome the Mayor, Ms. Becky.
Good morning.
Morning, man.
Yate. And I formally request a Hopi language lesson at some point today. It's my honor to be here with you this morning to welcome you and to share in this celebration with you. This is one of my favorite events every year, and every year I learn a lot. And I celebrate learning a lot, and it also makes me a little sad that I didn't already know some of the things that I learned. But thank you for giving me this opportunity to learn more. Now I'd like to read our proclamation. Whereas, since the Revolutionary War, when General George Washington praised the indigenous soldiers under his command, the United States has been privileged to have members of indigenous nations serve in its armed forces. From the bravery demonstrated at Valley Forge and the establishment of the U.S. Indian Scouts on August 1st, 1866, am I that bad? To the present day, Indigenous warriors and defenders have always heeded the call to duty. Though often excluded from the records of United States history, our Indigenous brothers and sisters have defended the only land they have ever known, asking for nothing more than opportunity in return. It is fitting that at this time we also express appreciation for Indigenous nations who have served our nation in times of war. Members of the Hopi, Navajo, Choctaw, Chippewa, Creek, Sioux, and as many as 30-plus nations use their tribal languages as effective battlefield codes against the Germans in World War I and the Japanese and Germans in World War II. The Hopi Code Talkers were assigned to the Army and Army Air Forces during World War II. 8 of the 10 were assigned to the 81st Infantry Wildcat Division. In September of 1944, the Hopi Code Talkers, by providing the ability to communicate securely, empowered the 81st Infantry Division to succeed in a very difficult mission. The Navajo Nation, when called upon to serve the United States, contributed a precious commodity never before used in this way. In the midst of the fighting in the Pacific during World War II, a gallant group of men from the Navajo Nation utilized their language in coded form to help speed the Allied victory. Equipped with the only foolproof, unbreakable code in the history of warfare, the Code Talkers confused the enemy with an earful of sounds never heard by code experts. The dedication and unswerving devotion to duty shown by the men of the Navajo Nation in serving as radio code talkers in the Marine Corps during World War II should serve as a fine example for all Americans. Beyond the unique role Indigenous people serving in the United States military forces have established an outstanding record of bravery and heroism in battle. Many have given their lives in the performance of their duty. Their record should be recognized by all Americans and to honor those who have served in sacred service as our protectors. Now therefore I, Becky Daggett, Mayor of the City of Flagstaff, Arizona, do hereby designate August 11th, 2025 as Indigenous Code Talkers Celebration, a dedication to all members of Indigenous nations who gave their special talents and their lives so that others might live.
Thank you very much, Mayor Daggett. Thank you. Thank you to the City of Flagstaff for acknowledging this long time coming. And I would also like to mention that Governor Doug Ducey signed legislation making National Navajo Code Talkers Day a legal state holiday every year on August 14th, honoring the courage of the Code Talkers and their critical role in the Allied victory of World War II under Senate Bill 1802 of the National Navajo Code Talkers Day falls on the other, if it falls on any other day than Sunday, the Sunday following August 14th will be observed as a holiday. So thank you to the state of Arizona for acknowledging this holiday coming up. And we are very grateful again to be here. We would like to also send our grateful appreciation over to Desert Financial Credit Union, the Arizona Complete Health, and NACA, the Native Americans for Community Action, for sponsoring this great event, and of course the City of Flagstaff, the Indigenous commissioners who have done a great job of coordinating this event. And if we could get away from the Indigenous coordinators, the commissioners, I'd appreciate it, so we can all see some in the back. Many in the back there are a part of the commission, and we would like to thank them for their dedicated service to this. And also, again, a big thank you out to the Sunnyside Community Association, the 501c organization, who is sponsoring this event as well through this building, and Kim, who's over here in the gift shop. And just like to thank them all for being a part of this and giving us the space to do this dedication. So without much ado, yes, thank you. We are going on to Ms. Rose Toehe, the Indigenous Affairs Administrator for the City of Flagstaff, who will give out her acknowledgments. Thank you.
Isn't Jennifer doing a great job? She hai tachi ni no dan chini no kelechi bashichi ashkanzo nashinando shi. That's who I am as a Navajo. I am Navajo and Ute, but I grew up Navajo. And I wanted to just give a little bit of thank yous. I want to acknowledge some of our people here that people may not generally know on a day-to-day basis. But I really want to acknowledge them because as Indigenous people, and when we're putting on community events and whatnot, we really need support, and these are the people that always support things that we do from my office also, and from the Indigenous Commission that I work with. I'd like to acknowledge one of my very favorite people, City Manager Greg Clifton. I say that he is the best city manager we've ever had. And I lived here a really long time. So, and then also, I'd like to acknowledge Vice Mayor Sweet. And County Attorney Barker. And Deputy County Attorney Michael Tunick. And then the one that has both of them always straight in line is Jennifer Yazzie. I also want to appreciate Chief Connolly. Over here in the corner. I just want to say also, just saying that Chief, in just a few months that he's been here, he's made a lot of difference in a lot of our lives, and I really appreciate him for that. And I know that he says he doesn't do that alone, but I know that he also has a lot of support from his deputy chief, Say. And then also there's also Officer Holgate, who is now the staff liaison to the newly stood up Indigenous Advisory Board for the chief and his staff. And then also want to acknowledge Francita, who's keeping the police department in line as well. And then I also want to acknowledge Deputy City Manager Shannon Anderson. And then Deputy City Manager Joanne King. Heidi's also here. Heidi's on and off our deputy manager sometimes, our city manager, and then she also directs the Economic Vitality Division. And then also want to acknowledge and thank CJCC Director Diana Calandros. And we have a few more. Bear with me. This is a long list of people you really need to know. Councilmember Spence is also here. And then City Clerk, Division Director of Communications and Community Engagement, Stacy Solsberg. Stacy is an awesome person. She's just so full of heart. And then I also want to say thank you to our youth ambassadors, Dylan and Annalise. You have to stand up. Dylan and Annalise. And then our outgoing ambassador, Miss Arnold. Yay. And then again, not least, but most helpful to me is the Indigenous Commission. I want you to all raise your hands or wave so people can know who you are. And if you're Commissioner Moana over here, and then Mariah Zavala back there, Diana Kariai, Chairperson Lance, and then also Commissioner Francis. They're all back there. I appreciate all of them. This is just a time to give that special ahiha from my language to the people who support me when I do my job as the Indigenous Affairs Administrator. And you will never, I guess we all have these people that make a big, huge difference in our lives. And these are some of the people who do that, who continually come and help me, or I help them, whichever way it goes. And I just want to say thank you for living my dream and supporting and advocating my people through the system of the city and other places. And I really appreciate that full-heartedly. If you have.
Asquali. Thank you very much. So what I'd like to know, with all the heads of the city of Flagstaff here, who's holding the fort down? So we want to especially thank those people who are staying at the office, holding the fort down, so when you all get back to your offices, that everything's been under control. And then you can join us at more of these kind of events. So thank you for taking time out from your very important jobs, especially the chief of police. Oh, yes. Yes, it's always good to be friends with the chief of police. Yes, so thank you for being here and for committing your services to the people of Flagstaff. And although we are not residents of the people of Flagstaff, you see us in this town all the time. We bring our hard-earned money right into this city every week. Almost every day you will see Native Americans, the local Native Americans, coming into Flagstaff to buy the essentials. So we are a part of your community too. And we want to give our thank you for having the police when we need it and having the city behind us and making sure that we are all treated as, again, that one group of people, as the, relations. Let's look at each other as relations from here on out. It's just a reminder, I'm sure that you have your grandparents and parents who taught you these golden rules, but again, just a gentle reminder about how we are a community. We are a whole. We are all here, people together, striving for that same goal and to be good people and to bring good things to our families. So thank you for being here. I am so, like Rose said, you learned something here, and I'm learning a lot by being here with you all and hoping to see you on the streets and remember your faces. So thank you for joining us here and all the work that's gone into this event. We are next going on to our keynote presentation, and no, I am not the keynote, even though I've taken up much time. The keynote presentation is by Mr. Eugene Geno Talas, who is a retired veteran, U.S. Air Force. And he will be having a slide video projection. So this screen's gonna come down. Officers, if we could have you relocated over to the sides here so the screen doesn't come down, and make yourself comfortable so that you're able to see the screen for his presentation. And again, Geno Talas is the head of the Hopi Veterans Affairs from the Hopi tribe, and thank you for coming again. He is a relation, Uncle Toehe, Geno Talas. Thank you. Let's welcome Geno Talas.
We're setting up the slideshow. Kokwa, nahala te umaya wang tamaltuta. Happy Geno Talas, Hopi Veteran Services Director. Nipio Mockta Sinam Kita Nufaka. Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to see everybody here this morning, bright and shiny faces on this particular event that's being hosted by the City of Flagstaff. It's my honor to be here. Like I mentioned, my name is Geno Talas. I'm the Hopi Veterans Director for the Hopi tribe. I'm from the village of Mockta and I'm Paka. And I want to acknowledge my clan nieces here. They're pretty good at doing this type of stuff, but she mentioned coming to eat food. Watch out, they're Nova, which we say in Hopi is the food. Sometimes they can get heavy to lift. But I can rag on my nieces because they're my clan, and we do that a lot in our tribe for Hopis and stuff like that. But it's my pleasure for all the folks that are here in the audience, particularly the city of Flagstaff. I want to acknowledge the mayor, the council people that are with Flagstaff, the police department, and all the people that are putting this together this morning. So I didn't really have a title, but I figured we'd just call it the historical legacy of Native American languages kept America free. And so next slide, please. So I don't want to take too much time this morning because we still have a bunch of guest speakers and some youth to perform this morning. But one of the two key words I've been hearing so far is learning. I think learning is a good thing for all of us in a positive manner to learn new stuff. Even as old as I am, I learn, and I want to acknowledge my brother-in-law, Tenakhongva. He's taught me a lot during my time working with him. He didn't mention that he worked for the VA for about 15 years, helping veterans as well. But him and I worked together through the years when I came on Hopi. But a little bit about me, like I said, who I am. I'm a proud product of Tuba City Schools, so I'm a proud Tuba City warrior. Any warriors out there? All right. So I enlisted in the Air Force right out of high school in 1974. Went into the Air Force as a supply troop for about 3-4 years, and then later on, I was going to an air show one year at Castle Air Force Base, and I was looking at all the aircraft, and I happened to go on board one of the C-141s that was on the static display, and I was asking the crew, "What do you do?" He says, "I'm a loadmaster." I said, "What do they do?" He said, "We load cargo and we travel worldwide, and we have 2 college-educated pilots that take us all over the place, and we have per diem, make per diem." I said, "Hey, that sounds like a job for me." So I retrained to become a C-5 loadmaster, and I did that for about 25 years, retiring in September 1st, 2004, after 30 years in the United States Air Force. So I came home. I worked a few years at the Mockta Day School, and get this, after serving 30 years working in all these type of missions in the military, I was a teacher aide for the kindergarten class for 2 years. So that kind of grounded me coming back home, working with little kids to mold their young minds, versus what I had done previously for 30 years. So, but after that, I came on board in 2008 to become the director for Hopi Land Services. So that's my life there. Next slide, please. So we've all talked about our code talkers here, but I wanted to just kind of give you a perspective on the early history of all our Native Americans prior to pre-contact and with the United States when we came. So as we all know, there was numerous tribes here in the United States that before pre-contact with the Europeans, North and South America. We had our own version of warrior societies. We actually had our own communication system back then in various forms, either ways with drums, sign language, smoke, etc. Then after the arrival of the Europeans, more so in the Southwest. The Southwest, of course, the Spanish crown came in the late 1540s, and they made their way up toward the Southwest area. So we were subjugated to the Kingdom of Spain at that time, and subjugated to a lot of harsh lifestyles under the Spanish. And one of the things was with Catholicism was kind of forced on our people. Not so much what was at Hopi, but more so with our neighboring Pueblo tribes in New Mexico. So after those years of brutal coverage, the Pueblos of New Mexico and Hopi decided to form a contingent where it ended up being the Great Pueblo Revolt of 1680. And that's what we're celebrating yesterday, is our Pueblo Revolt Day, along with our New Mexico friends. Our communication time at that time was we sent messengers from all different Pueblos and Hopi. And the only way we could strike on the same particular day is they had sent runners to all the Pueblos and the Hopi with a knotted yako or a knotted rope. They had like 5 or 6 knotted on that particular rope. So when the runners ran to their Pueblos to tell them the day of the strike, they would take off 1 knot for each day that they were making their way to the respective Pueblos. So on August 10th is when they actually struck together, and they were able to subdue the Spanish at the garrison at that time, and Most of the Spanish people and the Spanish military left for a good period, about 10 to 15 years. However, they did come back, reconquest of New Mexico, but they rarely ventured out to Hopi. There's a little small article about the priests around 1776. One of them came to the village of Arribi, and he wanted to go in and try some more missionary work, but the people of Arribi wouldn't let him in. So he had to sleep outside the village perimeters. And that particular day was July 4th, 1776. So in consequence, across the country, on the eastern side, the United States was declaring their independence. But for Hopis and the Mexico Pueblos, we had already established our independence in 1680, and kind of a shorter version of our independence on Hopi in July 4th, 1776. So moving forward through the 1800s up to the 1900s, tribes fought or sided during the Revolutionary War and all the different wars, including the Civil War. Of course, after that, the struggle was the native groups, tribes were continuing to protect their homelands, fighting to protect their people, but because of the overwhelming military force, they were subdued, and some either reverted to going to the reservation life, or some actually became scouts for the United States Army. This continued all the way to the early 1900s. Some Native Americans served during the Spanish-American War with the Rough Riders with Teddy Roosevelt. And through the 1900s after that, we've got historical record that all tribes, where they're from nationwide, served in the military from World War I. We even had a couple that served during the punitive expedition down to Mexico during the 1900s. And so they served in that period. And of course, World War I came around, they served World War II. And then after that, the legacy continues going forward with Korea, Vietnam, Persian Gulf I, II, and all the different wars we've had since that time frame. So Native American people have been involved with all types of missions and military history, along with the rest of the Americans that have served in the United States Armed Forces. Next slide. So going to the Native American code talkers, we've mentioned that and talked about the code talkers, how they were developed and stuff, but we got to remember also one of the things is that most of our Native Americans that served in the military probably didn't have their citizenship going into the military in the early World War I. They still served at the highest percentage of any ethnic group in the United States going forward. But during World War I, one of the couple of stories that was relayed was that I guess one of the commanders of one of the army divisions reported hearing some Choctaw Indians kind of just resting up under a orchard somewhere here, talking to each other in Choctaw. And so that's how it led to him recruiting those Choctaw military men to become code talkers during World War I. Next slide. So since World War I, the United States, based on the success of what the Choctaws were able to do, they called upon others as well in the 1940s to develop a code talker system using their indigenous languages, and some of them came forward and they recruited the Comanches and other tribes going forward for World War II. These 17 different tribes, nations utilized their native language during World War II in both campaigns in the European theater of operations and the Pacific European major conflicts. Of course, after the war was over, they were recognized at different levels, but one of the key takeaways was the French government actually honored the Comanche code talkers for presenting them the Charles Rivere of the National Order of Merit, the highest honor that France can bestow on any military persons or groups. Next slide. So when we talk of Native American code talkers, when it was researched, there was two types of code types. Type 1 was a formally developed special coded encoded vocabulary that the Native Americans either developed on their own using their own native languages. And type 2 was just your basic everyday talking in your native language to one another over the radios or communications during that time frame. So during World War I, these are the 6 tribes that either had the type 1 or type 2. Type 1, Choctaw obviously was the first one that developed the written coded formal code, and the rest of the other tribes used the informal version of talking over the radios or communication lines in their own native language. Next one. World War II, these are some of the others ones that were recruited as Donison Type 2, Cherokee Type 2, Choctaw Type 2, Crow Type 2, Cobb Type 2, Menominee Type 2, Muscogee Creek Type 2, Navajo Type 1, the Lakota Sioux Type 2, Canadian Cree Type 2, Chippewa, Oneida Type 2, Comanche Type 1, Hopi Type 1, Kiowa Type 2, Mississippi, Sax Fox Type 1, Seminole Type 2, and Pawnee Type 2. Next slide. Now I'm going to introduce you to our 10 Hopi code talkers that served during World War II, starting off with Sergeant Rex Yoyhoyam, Corn Clan from Portvilla Village. After he came home, he was a world famous moccasin maker, sewing moccasin Hopi shoes, so he was pretty well known around Hopi and around all the pueblos in New Mexico and other places as well. Next slide. Private First Class Floyd Dan Sr., Corn Clan from Mockta Village. Another gentleman that's from my village and actually is one of my son's grandfathers as well. So he served with the 81st as well. Rex served with the Army R Corps, and we'll go over that here pretty shortly. Next slide. Private First Class Warren R. Yoyhoyam, Bear Clan from the village of Toehe. You can kind of notice how young they were back then. Next slide. Private First Class Chavis S. Yaiva, Bear Clan from Proclamation Village. Next slide, it's Orville Wadsworth, Bear Clan, Snowbunny Village. And he's with the Army Air Corps as well. Private Percival Navima, Tobacco Rabbit Clan from Summerley Village. Private First Class Charles T. Lomakima, Bear Strap Clan from Snowbunny Village. Ticket of 5, Franklin Supra, Tobacco Clan, Taylor Village. And Private First Class Frank C. Chapella, Bear Clan from Taylor Village. And finally, Private First Class Perry Honani Sr., Water Clan from Snowbunny Village. If you noticed, he's got the Purple Heart, so we're still doing some research on what the narrative says about that, so I'm still doing a little bit of research. Also, he enlisted in 1940, so he actually served in the European theater at the time and transferred over to the Pacific Theater. Next slide. Group shot of them, either one of their training bases in Tennessee or California. And so the Wildcat Division was developed at Fort Rucker, Alabama. They trained some other places like in Tennessee and California, and they departed around July of 1944 toward the Hawaiian Islands. And once they got to Hawaii, they continued on their training, and then on 12 August they departed for the Pacific Islands for one of the Hawaiian atolls in the Pacific. Their next operation was Palu in January 1945, and then they made their way to Lake Gulf in the Philippines. And then finally they departed to the Philippines and the Japanese mainlands to continue occupation duties until the surrender of the Japanese. And then they recovered back in January of 1946. Next slide. So one of their initial invasions was the Angkor Island Palau system in 1944, where they went in combined operations with the Army and the United States Marine Corps, serving under Major General Paul Mueller. And they were sent on board off the first wave to continue making radio communications with the headquarters through their code talking communication and keeping everybody keeping all the components together during that major operation on that particular island. Next slide. And they continued doing some mop-off operations, and then they reinforced the 1st Marine Division as well. And then again, they did ship-to-shore communications with the code talkers. There was other couple elements from another unit that was assigned to the Talawepi operation as well. But like Clark mentioned, not just Hopi code talkers, but all code talkers saved lives in what they were doing during their operations as code talkers. Next slide. A little shot of the main island of where there were major operations were happening during that time frame at Angkor. Now, the 2 code talkers that we mentioned, as we're gearing up to get the Congressional Gold Medal ceremony situated around this time frame of 2010, 2011, Mr. Clark Tenakhongva came in with this little piece of paper that mentioned a matrix. And he showed it to me, and so we in turn gave it to me, and we kind of played around with it and looked at it. And what I did is just because I had my computer in front of me, I was looking at these particular numbers on this matrix. And I come to find out they were units of the Army, 5th Army Air Force. But what I needed to do was get that more validated and confirmed, and so what I did was I submitted that to the Army Historical Center for verification. And then sometime later, they sent the letter back to us indicating, yes, they were code talkers. There were code talkers on the Army Air Corps with the 5th Air Force serving in the Pacific Theater. So that's how we were able to recognize these 2, Rex Poyama and Orville Wadsworth, as the 9th and 10th code talkers for their efforts as code talkers in the Air Force. Next slide. And this is the matrix I'm talking about. So you can just see kind of the matrix here shows you different lines of communication to one code talker to the opposite side. And like you said, I looked at those numbers around there. Being former Air Force airlifter with assigned unit numbers, I kind of thought that might be unit signs. So I just kind of plugged that in under 5th Air Force, and all those numbers came up. They were bomb groups, Air Force bomb groups. So there's names on here that associate with Hopi, Laguna Acoma, Sioux, Oneida, Apache. So when that came back, that validated not just the Hopi code talkers were involved in code talking, but those other tribes as well. So this was a historic find, and my thanks to the Office of Cultural Preservation's office as well. They had a hand in this as well. And I think it was one of their staff. It was Lingway Lamayas who was the one that found the paperwork hidden in the shed somewhere. And what Clark then had to do was use a hair dryer to try and peel it off real slowly because it was in that shed for many years. So without this, we wouldn't have recognized the other tribes as code talkers. Next slide. So as a result of that, like I said, Acoma Pueblo, Chippewa, Crow, Hopi, Laguna Pueblo, Tonto Apache, Laguna Sioux, and the White Mountain Apache were identified as code talkers as a result of finding that document. Next slide. These are the 2 separate divisions or units that the 8 code talkers served with the 81st Infantry Division, Wildcats, and the U.S. Army 5th Air Force, the 90th Bomb Group, and the 380th Bomb Group, with the respective Rex and Orville served with. Next. Years later, they were informally recognized at the time, and this was back in the early 1987. So as you can see, from their looking photos to what they looked at that point in 1987, they aged some: Floyd Gannon, Charles Mockta, Franklin Shupa, Travis Yaiba, and Warren Toyopa, who were recognized at the old Palaka Day School. Next slide. So going into the other ones that we recognize as code talkers, I just took some here the other day just to build this together. We showed the Choctaw code talkers during World War I, Comanche code talkers during World War II. Next slide. Here's one that I kind of recognized 3 years ago during our annual Hopi Code Talker Day. It was Louis Levi Oates, the last Mohawk Code Talker during the Second World War. One of 17 Mohawks from Mockta, which straddles Quebec, Ontario, and New York state borders. So they honored him up there as well in Canada and on the U.S. side of Mohawk, United Country. Next slide. I'm on the upper left side of your side. That's Clarence Wolfgut's Sioux Code Talker, was a personal radio man for Major General Miller, commander of the 81st Infantry Division. And on this side is Herman Harjo, was the Seminole Code Talker. During World War II, he served with his brothers at the Normandy landing and Battle of the Bulge. Edmund was the last Code Talker taken from the Seminole Indian Nation of Oklahoma. And what was cool about him was that I believe he was the only one that attended the Congressional Gold Medal ceremony in 2012. So he was there at that particular ceremony, if I remember correctly. Next slide. Other ones that I kind of learned about was the 5 of the Tlingit Code Talkers from Alaska used their indigenous languages during World War II. Not picture available, it was for Robert Jeff David, but I do have the 2 brothers, Mark Jacobs and Harvey Jacobs, George Lewis Jr. and Richard Bean Sr. So I did not know they had code talkers in the Navy, so now this is verified there were code talkers in the United States Navy as well. And then we have Gilbert Horn Sr. served as a Minnesota code talker during World War II. He was a member of the famed Morale's Marauders and used his language in code communications for the U.S. military in the Pacific Theater. And I want to acknowledge my son-in-law's grandfather, and actually his parents are here, Stan and Stella are in the audience. But Jimmy Preston, Navajo Code Talker, U.S. Marine Corps, saw action at Guadalcanal, Bougainville, and Iwo Jima. He witnessed the U.S. flag raising at Mount Shirabachi. While aboard a naval ship, he saw the aftermath of the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And one thing that maybe none of you probably don't know at this time, but the state of Arizona issued a resolution to rename the Cameron Bridge in his honor. So right now they're in the final stages to come up with a dedication date to dedicate that bridge in the name of Jimmy Preston of the Cameron area. So I'm really honored to know that we do have another code talker in the family, and for coming today. Okay. Next slide. These are just some of our things that we did going forward from and the nation did starting in 2001. You know, obviously President Bush presented 4 of the 5 living code talkers relatives of the original 24 Navajo Code Talkers, the Congressional Gold Medal. Going forward, 2002, they recognized the Code Talkers of the Comanches. And then in 2005, they did the same thing, recognized the Niswahi and Sax and Fox Tribe Code Talkers for their recognition as well. Next slide. March 27, our tribe formally recognized the 8 Code Talkers from the Wildcat Division. And then later on, Congress in 2008 passed Public Law 11-420 to require issuance of medals to recognize the dedication of valid Native American Code Talkers. Then shortly right after that, once we found out that Rex and Orville were indeed Code Talkers, we actually passed a resolution to recognize them and also to advocate for the gold medals to be awarded to the Hopi Code Talkers. Next slide. Well, here's the slide that recognizes our 2 other Code Talkers. Then at the state level, January 2011, Senator Jackson G. at the sign introduced legislation at the state level to honor our Code Talkers. And later on, it was signed here at the Hopi Veterans Memorial Center and by the Secretary of State, Ken Bennett. Next slide. And then later, after all the official resolutions, the tribal council finally passed the resolution to establish April 23rd of each year as Hopi Code Talkers Recognition Day. We just celebrated our recent one this past month. Due to COVID, our last one was done in 2019, so we didn't have no recognition day until we finally decided it's safe enough to have the event again. So what we do every year is we honor one of the code talkers from the Hopi Code Talkers. So right now we've got two left to recognize. So I'm hoping they'll still be working, that we can get them all taken care of, and we'll have gone through all 10 of our code talkers. And then what we also do is we invite keynote speakers from other native tribes to talk about their specific code talkers on that day as well. And so in 2012, the chairman inaugurated the first Code Talkers Day. And then obviously on November 20th, the United States formally honored and presented the Congressional Gold Medal to all the 33 Code Talker tribes, and the silver medals to their respective family members and next of kin at the ceremony in Washington, D.C. Next slide. So as a result, these are the ones that all got Congressional Gold Medals in 2013. Pretty much the same folks that I listed as the Type 1s and Types 2s, but also including those that were recognized by that matrix from the 5th Air Force Code Talkers that served in the 5th Air Force. Next slide. These are just some of the family pictures at the time when we were going through our journey from 2008 forward. We did have two widows of code talkers that were with us at that time, but they have since passed on. Our last code talker passed away, which was Rex Yoyhoyam back in 2010, so he just barely missed getting the medal with him during the prestigious ceremony in Washington, D.C. Next slide. And this is just the signing of the state resolution recognizing Hopi Code Talker Day. Next slide. And this is the former chairman of the Hopi tribe, most of you educators out there might know him by name, but he officially accepted the gold medal on behalf of the Hopi tribe. Next slide. And then later on that same afternoon, all the families of the respective other code talkers, families gathered together at the National Museum of the American Indian, and they were bestowed the silver medal to the next of kin. And so these are a group shot of all the next of kin of the Hopi Code Talkers at the time. And these are just all the references I've collected through the years. Just by disclaimer, I'm not really a historian, but it's just something I like to do. As a young kid, I was more involved in history, so this is just my way of giving back to our Hopi people and the Hopi tribe. My little researches here and there that I've accomplished through the years. Next slide. And a picture of Floyd Dan Sr., the only known photo that we're aware of that shows him actually working on the type of radio used to communicate. And I'm not too sure, and I believe this was taken while they were in training in Tennessee, somewhere one of those bases. And so we as Arizonans salute Arizona's code talkers. Our Hopi code talkers, our Navajo code talkers, our Tonto Apache code talkers, and our White Mountain Apache code talkers. And so the legacy, I guess, as we kind of wrap up here, codes were never broken because they helped America's military operations and victories during World Wars I and World War II. The tribes used their indigenous languages, even though while forbidden in Indian boarding school, was instrumental in secret coded messages in combat, saved lives, thousands of lives. While the code talkers never spoke of their roles after the military, they maintained their secrecy for many years from their families and friends until this declassified in 1998. Of course, our code talkers, the respective tribes, have been honored at the tribal level, state level, federal levels, memorials are around the country for respective code talkers. And then tribes and nations established their own version of tribal holidays to honor and remember their code talkers. In fact, Navajo Nation is going to be celebrating Navajo Code Talker on August 14th in Winter Rock, so that's another one that celebrates their code talkers. I believe there's not that many code talkers are alive around the United States, maybe one or two on the Navajo code talkers, but I'm not too sure about the other code talkers around the nation, but if there are any left, it's probably our Navajo code talkers. And of course, I think the thing to remember is that, yeah, they use their indigenous languages. I think one of the takeaways from those folks that were raised in the 20s and 30s in the boarding school system is they actually got more out of it. Not so much the education part and not talking your language, but they marched to school, they wore uniforms, they told them to get up at a certain hour, real early. So they're already trained in boarding school in the military fashion, so when they went into the military, they were already used to it. So they said, yeah, we pretty much wore the same uniforms when we were in boarding school, and we stood tall and that playing the national anthem or flag racing and knew how to salute. So they were pretty well versed at going into the military at the time. So next slide. And I think the takeaway for not just Native American groups, but everybody around the country is that these languages that we speak today, that identifies each tribe with their unique language. Spoken and sung in tribal ceremonies and in significant religious settings. So the languages that we use are very important to our ceremonies. Plus, they're sacred to each tribe to maintain their cultural ties, clanships, and villages. Like my clan sister said, we're all related in one way through marriage, through in-laws, through baby namings, to the initiations we go through. So we have many fathers and many mothers from different clans. Going forward, we need to foster and help our youth to speak their indigenous language, even while in the womb of their mother and into their formal years. So young Hopi women that are marrying children, you can usually hear them singing to their child while they're still in the womb. So it's no surprise that when they come out of the womb, they already know the songs and know the simple words when they're talking to them, Hopi when they're young. Without the languages, we also lose our sacred ceremony and cultural ties to each tribe's certain creation stories and footpaths. For Hopis, we do have a footpath that have crossed over different directions during our emergence from the third world to the fourth world. So all our footprints are left at different places, like all the national monuments, Canyon du Chat, Camp Verde, some of the ruins down south. So those are our footprints as well. Indigenous languages are diverse, strong, respected among the tribes and nations worldwide. And I think for me, speaking Indigenous language, speaking Hopi is a special gift from the Creator to fulfill the teachings and sacrifices our ancestors to empower our future generations. So it all starts with the family unit, starting with your children in your home, your grandchildren. We do have immersion classes, but I think the most important thing is what we've been doing now since time immemorial is to start teaching and talking to your children in your own various languages. So today it's been my honor to kind of give just a brief history on our Hopi code talkers and our Native American code talkers across the nation and what kind of contributions they made to the military as far as World War I and World War II. We honor them. We know they sacrificed a lot. And then just knowing that they have a place to reach out to as well. In my work and in Clark Tenakhongva's former work, we're here to reach out to our veterans to get the help they need through the VA federal system, local veterans groups to help them out. So it's never too late to seek that help. And nowadays, when I do my posters, usually in the past it was always veterans, always had them on the line to invite them to an upcoming event. But now my posters say veterans and spouses. Come to this event because we're going to be talking about this and that or presenting something that might be of interest for you, whether it's health related, disability related, or even just knowing what to do when our time is ready, when it's our time to go home, what the family needs to be prepared for. So that's what my scope of work is, to make that connection for our veterans. So I salute each and every one of our veterans out here in the audience, if you haven't done anything with the VA or made connection with any VA-related agency, do it today. Do it before it's too late. Do it for your spouse, for your families, because they want to make sure you seek the help that you will need. So again, it was my honor to be here and to be invited by Rose and the city of Flagstaff. So I just wanted to give you a little segment of what Code Talkers means to me, and I kind of bring it out to you that you learn something new, like everyone's been talking about. So, thank you everybody for taking your time, and I know it's kind of dry-winded sometimes, but I do the best I can. So, thank you.
Thank you. Geno, Talas. He did a good presentation. It was enjoyable. I was also able to view the presentation back here through technology, through the phone. I was watching the whole presentation. That was an awesome presentation. I hope that you learned something about Indigenous Code Talkers and about all the many tribes who were involved in this code talking for the United States. And it is very honorable. Just to also mention that, going back to my father, he did say that many of the natives who were not officially labeled as code talkers also did code talking because they spoke the language. You know, they came right from the reservation, and they were also speakers, and their talents and the language was used to some degree. They may have not been officially set as to be the code talkers, but they did some code talking throughout their campaigns that they were involved in. And so, again, many thanks to the code talkers, and again about how language is important. No matter what language you speak, there is a reason why we have these languages, and that we should teach our children. If it's not native language, if it's Mexican, or if it's Chinese, it's German, if you have some of that, you know, that's who you are, and you should have your family also know their history about where they're coming from. It's getting more important these days about knowing our identities, about where we come from. So let's take that up as another step of our well-being to becoming the good people of this place that we live in. So that was a really educational presentation. Again, you can review this presentation through YouTube, where it'll be streaming under the city of Flagstaff. You can always contact Geno Talas, and he can share his presentation with you, and that you may be able to review, or again share with people that are of interest. So we're moving right along. Are we okay out there? There's water and so forth. Everybody good? We're going to go on to now with Officer Darrin Talawepi, who is a Hopi, who is from the village of Mockta, who was recently inducted into the Flagstaff Police Department. So where is Mr. Talawepi? There he is, and is very honorable young man, and he deserves the recognition. I should like to personally tell the chief and the city of Flagstaff Police Department that you have gained a very downhearted person. He is a very good person that you have brought on, and I can speak to this from, again, he is my family. It just happens to be that way. So let's welcome Mr. Talawepi, Officer Talawepi, up to the podium here, to the stage. His name is actually Talawepi. Talawepi is his name, and it's a very cool name. English translation is lightning. So here is Mr. Lightning in other words.
Thank you very much.
So my name is Darrin Talawepi. I come from the village of Mockta. My father is Timothy Talawepi from Mockta. My mother is Rosemary Pabenyama, now Humitiwa, from Mockta. Just giving you an introduction. I come from Tuba City, went to Flagstaff High School. Sorry, Tuba City High School, sorry. Before working with the police department here in Flagstaff, I was working with the Hopi Police Department for 11 and a half years. So coming to the city is definitely a different experience coming here, but I've been welcomed with open arms from the police department and from the city staff, from the courts. So it is an amazing experience to have coming here to the city of Flagstaff. So I want to say thank you to everyone here for welcoming me. Today I'm not a veteran, I haven't served in the military, but I have an experience where I learned about the military from my grandfather. My grandfather served in World War II. He was in the European theater in the Battle of the Bulge. So I learned a lot from him and all the aspects that come with being in the military, and a sense of respect for those who served in the military, especially those in combat. And growing up with that kind of teachings, I believe it shaped me to who I am today and what I'm doing here today as a police officer. So I'll start with that with my grandfather. Being here as a police officer, you learn a lot of things, a lot of being disciplined in what you do in everyday life. And growing up with my grandfather, I definitely got a lot of teachings in how to work hard, how to be respectful of your parents, your family. Family is very important. Learning the rights and wrongs of life, and having my grandfather in my life, being him as a veteran, I learned a lot. Especially of the brotherhood and the sacrifices that he faced in World War II. So I have a lot of respect for all the veterans here that are sitting in this room. Learning of all the stories that he has experienced in life, especially those in World War II, and that, I was really close with my grandfather, and it's hard because he's passed now. And I can't thank him enough for the teachings that I've learned from him. But learning from these stories, learning how to be a great son, now a great father, and learning to be respectful of my elders and my family and the people around me in the community. I am grateful to have my grandfather here in my heart and in my teachings. So talking here as a young professional with the Flagstaff Police Department, I just wanted to share that having my grandfather being in the military and those that are in this room, my gratitude to you all as a police officer and a grandson and as a son. I want to say thank you for everything that you have done for your country. It's given me a sense of pride as a Hopi, as a community member of Mockta, and also as an American here in the United States. So I just want to say thank you, and continue to look forward to working here in the Flagstaff Police Department and in the city of Flagstaff as well. So that's all I wanted to say today. Thank you, Ms. Toehe, for inviting me here today and to talk as my experience with veterans, working in the Hopi community, as a grandson to an amazing grandfather. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And we wish Mr. Talawepi good service to the community and to all the officers who are in a dangerous field, that they should always be safe. And may they be protected in their work as they work for our people here in the community of Flagstaff. And we wish them the best. And we wish to never run into you all other than at an event like this, where there's food. Yes, thank you again. Thank you for being here with us. We are so grateful to the Indigenous Commission for putting this event on, and we hope that many more events like this honoring veterans will come on in the years to come. And we look forward to more sponsorship from Desert Financial, the Arizona Complete Health, and Mockta, the Native Americans for Community Action, for supporting an important event like this. And I know they do a lot for the community here, so let's give them a hand. And again, we will be seeing this on YouTube, as well as maybe a rebroadcast on KSZN 101.5 FM here under this umbrella here of the Sunnyside Community Radio. So let's give them a great hand for being here and offering us this facility to host this event. You know, talking about the code talkers, I knew some of the 10 code talkers before they passed. They were already older when I learned of them. And none that I can remember, they have gone to work because they were trained to in different fields while they were in the military, so they worked. But again, when they came back home, they were family members, they were community members, giving to the cultural part of our communities, being farmers. And farming on Hopi is a lot of work. We have no rivers, streams, no waterways to irrigate our fields, but yet Hopis are farmers. And that's, you know, where does that come from? And that's about resilience. Resilience. My husband goes to the field all the time, even in this time of drought, because he has the faith. He has the faith in what he believes in and the hard work that he's putting into the ground, so that hopefully he will yield something for the family to eat. May it be if one corn would come out of the fields, out of the whole field, if it be one corn, one bush of beans, be it that, but that would have been the representation of the hard work that we all put into everything we do with our hearts. And so that's what these code talkers came home to do. They became practitioners, again, of the Hopi ways, and they were farmers. They farmed, and that's hard work, and they were already these things before they left. My father grew up as a sheep herder. He had brothers, but he was kind of one of the ones that always ended up at the sheep camp, stayed there for, days at a time, herding sheep, taking care of the sheep. My grandfather was, before the Reduction Act, my grandfather was among the Hopis who owned a lot of sheep. And when the Reduction Act came around, enacted, his sheep were cut. Everybody had to cut their sheep down. But he still kept on with the sheep, and my father was a sheep herder before he went. And then when he came out of the service, he was the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. He was everything. My dad was, what do they say? He had many trades, but a master of none. He became a chef, and So most of my adult life or childhood, I grew up in the back of some kitchen somewhere that my parents ran. And that was something different. My parents also, and all the veterans up to today, you know, they have issues. They have real issues that have led them down the wrong way. And veterans all over have gone the wrong way. We see them on our city streets. You see this man at the corner, and good chance he's going to be a veteran, and he's homeless. You know, it was something that happened that caused him to be that way. And with the Hopis, just to talk about the Hopis, we found alcohol. And so many of them, the veterans who were serving in positions in the service, who were in combat, who knew their jobs, came home and they were gone to the alcohol. You know, they all did. And as they grew it up, that war stayed with them to the end. It stayed with my father to the end, but he never talked about it. And maybe he should have, but many have not. But, you know, our father, everybody's father is a great man. The greatest man that you could ever know. If you've known him for all your life, great. If you've known him for only a great part of your life, that was still your father, and he still earned that respect. So there were a lot of veterans in this world that have gone the wrong way, and we hope that today there is more help for them so that they can become productive citizens again for our country. That was a great presentation by Mr. Talas, and again, he teases us because we're his nieces, we're the same clan as he, so he teases us. That's what uncles do to their nieces. So he says our food is heavy, and he's saying that we don't know how to cook, but I can assure him and you all that our family are the best cooks in the world. And so with that, we're gonna go on to the next. Okay, why don't Momana here give us that introduction? It's not on my agenda.
Hello. Next up, before we have our cultural share from our dance group, we will have the Indigenous ambassadors from Flagstaff High School come up and give a brief introduction and welcome to you all in the presentation. So if they would like to come up, we are ready for them.
Yes, let's give our young people a great hand for being here, taking time out of their busy lives and being here today. So let's welcome them, and I'm sorry, but I don't have their names, so they will give their own introductions here. Let's welcome them up on the stage, and here we go.
Ne kawan oina yang Hopi matewa ne nalis komakima yang bahan matewa ne hongonga ne sumopanaksima. Hello everybody, my name is Nalis Makima. I am Hopi and I come from the village of Samopovi. I am Bear Clan, and this is my first event as Indigenous ambassador. I'm excited behind all the nervousness, but I'm very thankful to the Indigenous community for allowing us to attend, and now I give this mic to my co-vice.
Loloma, Yate, Kokoyi Tanya Source and Savod, or the Nervo Vaishnama, and Hopi Matim, the Gang of Dylaness and Matsuri, and Bahan Matsiwa, Nerf and the Gang of Nerf Arabic at Pita, Nerf Flagstaff High School at the Dukai. Hello, my name is Dylan Nasimwetso. I originate from the village of Old Arabi. I am Sun Clan. I am descendant of our father's son. I really think this event is super cool. You know, our co-talkers only really get recognized by local governments and to be recognized by not just the city and hopefully more as time goes on, their stories keep on going. Because talking about the co-talking event, Hopi, something they said was because of our fathers, our life and language will live into eternity. And I really want to thank everyone that came here today to show up and learn.
Thank you for your work, and I'm sure that you will be great in your second event, and then it'll just get so much easier after that. So we want to thank you and congratulate you on being Indigenous representative ambassadors. Thank you. That's Flagstaff High School. The Flagstaff High School, they're wearing the colors. Yep. So, okay, so our next event coming up is the Yoyhoyam Hopi Youth Dance Group, sponsored by Mr. Jordan Mockta. And so what we're going to ask these two front tables to do is to move your table as close to the ends, because we're going to use this little area right here for the dancers to perform. And I think I saw them and they were a little bit short, so with the barriers here, you wouldn't be able to see them as they were going to perform on stage. So we're going to give them a little room here, and thank you. There's fruit in the back. There's something to drink if you're feeling a little dehydrated. And oh man, we need that rain, because we're feeling it everywhere. Everywhere we go, we feel it. So as we wait for the dance group to come in, I just want to again thank you all for joining us, and please share this event with your friends and family, and check it out on YouTube, and give the radio station 101.1 FM a listen, and they will re-air this rebroadcasting of this event. So thank you for joining us here today. Is the dance group ready? We're going to wait on that dance group, and yes, so we're here below Nubatagilvi, the majestic mountains in this region. All the mountains in this whole area are sacred mountains, and we are again within the sacred mountains, and that is a real blessing. And we hope that our lives as we live together can grow, and we shall see each other on the streets and recognize each other. So thank you for coming, and I really appreciate Darrin, Officer Talawepi, for coming here today as a young professional, and I appreciate the city of Flagstaff for coming, and the council women, men, and women who work for the city who have come here and are getting an insight into who we are and who you work for as well, because we have many relatives who live in the city, who have moved to the city, because where we come from, our jobs are very limited. So we moved to the city to try to find a living for our families, and it's really hard when you're culturally involved. My family, part of my family lives here, and it's a good travel. It's like an hour, 30, 40 minutes to Hopi if you're speeding, officers. We're out of your jurisdiction, so I can say that. No, it's a couple hours travel one way. And my family, when they come home for ceremonies, sometimes they have to come back home that same night. And after being all day in the sun and doing the ceremonies, and then they come back home, and then they have to, not have to, but they want to return, and they're right back there at sunrise, so that means that little rest. So it's a lot of people, natives live in Flagstaff, and we are hoping to be good community members as well. So it looks like we're getting ready for the dancers to come in, and I know that they have performed here in the city of Flagstaff at various events, and so I'm sure some of you have seen them before as they've, and the children are learning, they're learning. It's away from the village where these dances are done. It's away from the village, but they live here, and this is a good way for Mr. Mockta to gather these students up and teach them the language, teach them the dances as how they are performed in the village. So now we're in the cycle of the social dances at Hopi, and these dances are open. We do not have a calendar of events, so it's just by chance. Most of them are on the weekends, and social dancing means that young women and men, they dance. So one might be called the butterfly dance, where the guys would make their partners headdresses, beautiful painted headdresses, and they might be dancing to the beat of Mr. Tenakhongva, which again, the songs are so beautiful. When you listen to them, they are heartfelt, they are prayer songs, singing always about the rains, and the rain shall come from all the directions and come here to the center of the universe to bring us the rain, the moisture that we all desperately need. And that's what the songs are always about. So if Moana can check on the dancers again. There, okay, so Rose is checking on the dancers. We will be closing this ceremony back with Mr. Tenakhongva, who will be closing with the prophecy. What did you think about Mr. Tenakhongva singing his voice? You can see why he's an award-winning artist, and you can see why you've got to. I'm not here to sell Mr. Tenakhongva, but you've got to pick up a CD of his, and you will enjoy it. It's like cruising music. You can cruise all the way to New York and back, and that CD will still be on. Because you'll put it on repeat. And once my son and I, we were going to Tucson. It's a long ride to Tucson, and we put the CD on. By the time we got to Tucson, we knew all the words to the songs because we kept it on repeat, kept putting it back in, and it's good music to cruise by, just kind of cruise, and you're just cruising along. Oh, it's getting warm in here, isn't it? Yes, so thank you for being here, and I really enjoyed my time sharing a little bit of my father, who I didn't know was Mr. Tenakhongva was going to be dedicating this song to the Navy, and as well giving my father the credit for the song. And when I first heard this from him, it was very heartfelt that he must have thought about my father, and I guess being a military man himself, and then repeating this song. So I've actually heard this original Japanese tune from a movie, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the song. And it is a real song, so I don't know the name of it. Maybe Mr. Tenakhongva does, but you might one day check it out on some channel and see if you recognize that. It's a famous song, I hear. It's a famous Japanese song dating back from the World War II era. So let's see, what else have we got? We, one thing that I did mention, some of y'all had the breakfast burritos. They were sponsored by the Arizona Complete Health, and light lunch for the event. And, of course, the Desert Financial were sponsoring the food as well, and the drinks provided by NACA and the city of Flagstaff. So again, enjoy the fruit and vegetables, apples back there. And Rose, are we getting ready for the dancers? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Tenakhongva, ahoy ba? Kasi na Miss Daggett, doing the sinambut ang tataw ko ka. Sa may sandiwita, do what's going on. So meanwhile, while the dancers are getting dressed and getting ready, we're gonna call Mr. Tenakhongva back up again, and he's got.
All right, thank you again. The song that she talked about a little earlier about what her father brought back is, again, it's a Japanese song, and when I did my own research, it was sung by a female there in Japan during World War II. And the other one that's on the album itself is called Moon Over China, which went globally #1, and that we also sang that in a different version. But Johnny J requested for this song. It's called Rain of Life, or Sheeta Rain. That was composed for the album of Mockta, which is the Grand Canyon at the Grand Canyon Watchtower. And when I sang this song, it was something very powerful, I guess, in some ways you would say, really inspirational for me. If you've ever been to the Grand Canyon and gone to the Watchtower, you've got these windows all the way around. And when I sang this song and recording it that evening, there was rain coming in from all three directions, and it was something else. Normally I don't open my eyes when I'm singing, but when I did, I saw that, and then I kind of messed up the first recording I did. So I told the guys, I said, we've got to go back over again. Something happened to me. So we did another rerun of it and re-recorded it. But yeah, was something that personally happened, and that's what Hopi talks about is rain and moisture. Goes something like this. Right of life. Another good story that I have, since they're not here yet, is this one. I work with cultural preservation. What I did on that trip is one that's personal also too. Floating down the Grand Canyon was I was sitting there on the ramp, and one day we were about halfway down the gorge, and over the horizon of the mesas, clouds started forming. And what I saw in the image of the clouds was the form of butterflies. And so this song goes like they're called Butterfly Cloud, something like this. Oh, my holy mother, oh, my holy mother, oh, my holy mother, oh, my holy But anyway, some of the experiences and the gifts that I got just singing these songs and getting recognized internationally was I've had the honors to sing with Jackson Brown, I can never think of her name. But she's an artist from back in the 60s, 80s, 70s, Native American artist. No, the other one. They were questioning her on her authenticity of being a Native American.
Buffy St. Marie.
Yeah, Buffy St. Marie. I recorded an album with her up at Mesa Verde National Park. But I think the greatest thing that I have ever had the honor to sing with other artists and somebody that called on me personally and talked to me on the phone. And the funny story of this is that when I first got called on, I was still in office at that time. And the guy says, hey, there's a guy that's wanting to sing with you or play with you. And I says, who is it? And he really wants to play with you. You need to play with this guy or sing with him. And I says, what's his name? name's Yoyhoyam. And I said, I don't want to sing with a D rapper, you know, I thought he was a rapper, you know? I was cussing on the phone, and I later on meet the gentleman. He's a real nice man. So again, performed with Yoyhoyam there at the Watchtower, and with the New York City Quartet and others, right? Performed some of these songs is one of the highlights of my life that I will always remember. And that's one of the things that I sing these songs, and maybe not in the correct genre of some of the Hopi songs that they should be. But there's that opportunity for these younger people. If they see what I'm doing, they can explore out into the world and do that kind of musical talents also. And one of them that I'm seeing right now is my godson, Jeffrey Yoyhoyam, brother to Moana, and he helped perform yesterday when we did the songs over at Toehe. And was something that was really inspirational. He sang and all. I mean, he didn't sing, but he played. So those are some of the things that I have done in my lifetime now. So there's an opportunity. You express that to other people or people of your nation or your community, and hopefully you're educating those people. And like what Johnny J was expressing those about the songs of our people. So I guess, I don't know, when are they going to get ready, Johnny J? Are they coming or not? I guess they're on real Native American time. We call that Hopi time. When we're ready, you know? So we'll be back on tune for that. But I'm going to sing this quick song. I'm going to tell you all to take a quick breather, take a quick break, and then go with it. And this is what Yoyhoyam and I did. It's on YouTube. I know he released it somewhat. It's called Butterflies Are Free. And I just heard it on the radio this morning. It goes something like this. Butterflies Are Free, and like I said, that was the song that Yoyhoyam picked out, and that's what he personally said before he came out from, he's out in New York somewhere, and it was very inspirational about his story, how he came about, how he got discovered, and so forth. And he's one of those kind of people that's always giving back, like playing in the subway in New York City, Washington. Nobody knew who he was, collected dimes and pennies and then gave it to the homeless and so forth. And that's what I sometimes do. So a couple of years ago, I am an artist too, so I ended up gotten to meet the president of a outdoors backpack company. And what I did was I did a painting, a design for them, and this was the end result. It's called Osprey Backpacking Company out of Cortez, Colorado. I met him when I was still the vice chairman of the tribe. So what I did was, rather than taking payment for it, I made the commitment to him, okay, whatever you're gonna donate, or the proceeds from it. They did the initial $10,000 donation to the Hopi Education Foundation for scholarships for young people that are going to college and needing education, or cultural groups like that, education. That's where the money went to, and this was the result. They printed it, and it's a special edition, and the whole products, there was a hat, there's the backpack, and the water bottle. They all sold out in 6 months. So it's not going through reprint or anything like that, but you know, there's still talks that I might do another one, a project for them, but that's the way I've been doing my business as a Hopi. And what I know as a veteran, that you always got to give back to your community and so forth. And she talked a lot about that. And this is one way of my outlet of dealing with the aftermath of the trauma that you experience in the military. But I just wanted to show you this, and this was the second one off the press. And it wasn't made in America, it was, you know, made in Vietnam, where we went to the company where they did this. And so this is the special edition of the Bears Ears, and there's the two buttes there. These are the two, the claws that are there in the Bears Ears National Monument. I've never seen nothing like this. It's always, you know, pecked in there, but it was etched in and then pecked in. I saw that, took a picture of that. The Spiral of Life, I saw that in one of the most northern regions of the Bears Ears National Monument. And that's the only one that I have seen anywhere in the United States that has 13 circles around it. And so I put that on there. The green or the blue that represents the San Juan and the beauty of the land, the green. The sun is about the only Hopi thing that's in there, to present day Hopi, of giving us daylight and sunlight. What I saw as an artist in the early morning rise of what Bears Ears looks like up in southern Utah. But, you know, being in offices, it was very difficult. I served right during the high period of COVID. So I experienced that, and I was talking that with another person yesterday, what difficulties I faced. But yeah, you know, this came about, and so I just wanted to show you this, of some of the projects that I'm engaged in. Some of the other stuff that I'm engaged in personally right now is with the environmental stuff, you know, with the Colorado River, the small Colorado River, the uranium mining, saving the wolves, saving the grizzlies, all these things that I still presently do. And some of the music that I still, which I enjoy, that's my life here. But I'm here today, and I really welcome you all for coming and being part of this event. And so I hope you take away something from here, especially with the code talkers. And one thing I wanted to finish out with was today was with Mr. Talas talking about the pentagram. Yes, that was found by the nephew of Mr. Wadsworth, you know, and we went through a difficult process of undoing it. Finally found him, and it was such an overwhelming thing when Geno and I were in Washington, D.C. The families from the Mohawk, the families from the Apache from down here, Tonto Rim, and the families from Acknowledgment. Their fathers talked about it, but they were never recognized. But with the pentagram that we found, they officially got into the process of being code talkers. So they thanked Geno and I for going through that lengthy process. And like I said, I was still working for the VA at that time. And it's a part of my life that I really remember. And the other part is when we were designing the gold medal for our tribe, what they were going to receive. Mr. Talas had a lot to do with it. I, as an artist, and others just contributed how it should be designed. And ours was one of the designs that we sent into the mint that wasn't like some of the other people's. Got kicked out the first time. The design and concept that we sent in was the first time it got looked at, accepted, printed, and so forth. And when I was there in 2013, it was something that I think, as a veteran, you always acknowledge others. And that was part, what I had been working on previously before Mr. Talas came on board for the Veteran Services with other directors, and we finally accomplished it after about 15 years we're fighting that at the local level, the state level, and the national level. And I said, you know, a lot of stories that I gathered from the code talkers who were still alive at that point, like Rex, for instance, he lived with that trauma because he was quite a part of that run that made the bomb run to Hiroshima, Nagasaki. He felt that, you know. He slept, he ate, he lived with that trauma of what he experienced, what he did to other people, the guilt. And those are things that America is not looking at. They don't know the stories. When you looked at the pictures of what happened to the females and the young children, that's the trauma that hunted him all the way up until the day he passed away. And I remember Rex, you know, and that was his outlet, being a famous moccasin maker. And he started what you know today as the Kaibai Moccasin Company. He was one of the initial moccasin makers. So again, thanks to you all for being here, and thank you to the code talkers for being here. I'm just a simple old veteran that's still trying to kick it and be part of the community. Thank you.
We could just be here all day, just doing Tenakhongva all day. He's got a lot of stories about himself, but it always reflects back to the community. Asquali, thank you for sharing those songs with us. And like I said, this is cruising music. You could just be at peace, and even if you didn't know the words, you could just cruise to 100 miles forever. So great. We are, Rose, are we getting ready for the dancers? Okay. So, without much ado, we're going to welcome the Yoyhoyam Hopi dance group, sponsored by Mr. Jordan Mockta, who is their mentor, and that is our cultural share of this great event here. Let's welcome the Yoyhoyam, the Little Rain dancers, and they come from representing a lot of different villages, right?
Yeah, we're just not waking up, so we all just had breakfast and all that. Yeah, we're all from different villages. We're Yoyhoyam, Little Rain Clouds. We're very thankful for being able to come here and perform for you guys. So we have some people from Kewa, we have some Koyalas here. I'm from the village of Sobokowe, and then we have some more young ones out there. So with this performance, if we can please just hold back on the recordings and all that, that would be great, just to be appreciative of that, and we can all enjoy the moment here and just an experience, a shared experience between all of us. So I appreciate that.